Hello everyone, and welcome to the iContact for Salesforce Training webinar. My name is India and I am the Product Services Trainer here at iContact, and I'll be your guide today. I'd like to go over the agenda with you today so you can get an expectation of what you'll be learning. Since we have limited time for this demo, please make use of the resources contained in the email you received with the link to register for the webinar. Also, the videos are helpful for completing specific actions in the account. So during today's demo, I'll explain to you how to create a campaign and how to add members to a campaign. I'll also show you how to send a message and how to track statistics for a sent message. Then I'll review the targeted send features and the built-in reporting, and I'll end the demonstration by showing you how to create a message. I'll also provide additional resources and support available through iContact for Salesforce. So we're going to switch on over to the demo account at this time, but before we do, I just want to note that we are using a demo Salesforce org with Enterprise Edition. Now I'm pointing this out because there are differences between Professional and Enterprise Edition, and most of our customers use Professional. But what I'll do is point out the differences in the settings for those who might be using other editions. And if at any time my screen doesn't match what you see, contact your system administrator because there might be some permissions you're missing. So we're going to switch on over to the demo account, where we'll be taken to the home page. When you log in, this is where you'll be. And notice that you may have different tabs across the top of your screen, just depending on what view you've selected. So for example, if I was in a sales view here to the right, it would show different tabs across the top. So we're going to switch back to iContact Email Marketing view, and that way we should see these tabs across the top. Also note that you can customize the tabs that are going to appear in any of your views, so you may have additional tabs if you have customized that information. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is to create a campaign. A campaign is a list of members to send to. First, you need to create the campaign, and then you can begin to add members to that campaign. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. You can either choose Campaign and then choose the New button here to the center. Now, if you don't see this button or this tab does not appear, make a note to contact your system administrator. You can also choose Create New and Campaign. Now, Professional Edition may not have this screen or this drop down. So I'm going to go ahead and choose New, and then I'm going to select Campaign Record Type of iContact Email Campaign. Now, for some of you, you may skip this screen simply if your account was set up to skip this screen. If you perhaps have a default record type that you're always going to select, and if that's the case, you'll be taken directly to the next screen. So this is the screen where you're to give the campaign a name and mark it as active. So for today's demonstration, I'm going to name the campaign Training Campaign, and I'm going to give it today's date. Once I've given it a name, I'm going to mark it as active, and then I'll click Save. Nothing else needs to be completed on this screen except for those two items. Once the campaign has been created, you can begin to add members to that campaign. But before we do that, I just want to show you that you should see gauges here. These gauges will make a lot more sense later on once you start sending messages from this campaign. They're going to show you open rate, click rate, bounce rate, unsubscribe rate, that sort of thing. But if you don't see these gauges, make a note to your system administrator because there could be some permissions that you're missing, keeping you from seeing these charts and gauges. You should also notice these buttons here across the top: Update Statistics, Targeted Send, iContact Send, iContact Help. Once again, if you don't see this information, jot a note to yourself to contact your system administrator. So as I was saying, there are several ways to add members to your campaign. Today we're going to go over the two most common ways. One being using the Manage Members button here, and the other being using the Reports tab here across the top. So when we select Manage Members, we see that there are several options here. However, it's important to note that two of them are actually duplicated. So Add Member Search leads to the same functionality as Edit Member Search. As well, Add Members Import File will take you to the same options as Update and Add Members Import File. So we're going to start with Add Member Search. Here we can search for leads or contacts. We always have to make a distinction between leads or contacts. Now, you can add both to a campaign, but you can only add one type at a time. So we're going to start with leads since that is the default setting, and then we'll come back and switch to contacts and do a search for that. The next step after you've chosen your member type to search is to specify filter criteria. And if you don't have any filter criteria to set, you can just simply click Go, and all leads will appear on your results screen. However, we're going to add a couple of pieces of criteria here. We're going to choose the name field. As you see, there's several other fields that you can choose from. And then the operator we're going to use is contains. Just a quick note, whenever you use the name field, it's better to use the contains operator. We found that you get better results when you use contains as opposed to equals. So I'm going to select contains, and then I'm going to enter the name Aaron. Aaron is my colleague who created this demo account, and so I know his data is in the system. So I'm going to select Aaron as the value, and then I'll click Go. Now, if you need to add additional fields, operators, or values, you can continue to do so. But keep in mind that will narrow down your search results because the criteria will be looking to satisfy all pieces of information that you enter into these fields here. The AND operator is what's being used as opposed to OR, so just keep that in mind when adding additional filter criteria. So since we're finished here, we're going to go ahead and click Go. The search results will appear on the screen, and we can either select individual members that appear as search results, or we can select the top column and everyone will be selected at once. Once we do that, we'll select Add with Status. And since these are default settings, it doesn't matter which one you pick. I always just select Sent since it's the first one on the screen. So we'll do Add with Status, Sent. And that action will add the member or members to the existing campaign. Now there's a possibility that you might see more options other than Add with Status, Sent, and Responded if you have a more customized version of Salesforce. So now we're going to go back and search for contacts. You can either select the Add Members button here to go back, or you can go back to the campaign, click Manage Members again, Add Member Search, and this time switch the radio button to Contacts. Here I'm also going to enter just some very basic filter criteria. This time I'm going to search for my own name. Once I've entered the filter criteria, I'll click Go, make my selection, Add with Status, Sent. So now I have selected to add leads and contacts to this campaign using the Add Member Search option. We can go back to the campaign again, and this time we're going to look at Add Members Import File, which is the same option or leads to the same options as Update and Add Members Import File. Clicking on either of these two links leads to a pop-up wizard that appear on the screen. If you don't see a pop-up, maybe you have pop-ups disabled on your browser, so you want to go ahead and disable that in order to see this wizard appear on your screen. In this wizard, you'd have two different options. You can choose to import leads, which allows you to upload new campaign members, or you can choose update and add campaign members, which allows you to modify the status for existing campaign members and add new campaign members. The thing to remember here is if you're choosing import leads, if this particular file that you're choosing to import has already been introduced into Salesforce, the system is going to add the contacts as leads and make duplicate records. So you'll want to avoid that. So for that reason, we don't see this option used as often, although it's there if that's truly what you're wishing to do. What we see used more often is update and add campaign members. This allows you to create a report that has more than 50,000 records. As well, it allows you to create special custom reports that mixes leads and contacts simultaneously. Now, because this does take a little bit more time and customization, we're not going to go over this in today's demonstration, but if you have more questions or need assistance with either of these two options, feel free to contact support and they'll assist you with that. We're going to close the wizard for today, and now we're going to move on to the next option. The next most common function of adding members to a campaign is using the Reports tab. Now, if you have a larger list or you're searching using custom fields, this would be the better option to choose, simply because the Add Member Search option only shows you about 200 at a time. As well, it's the method that's useful for 200 or less, or for quick search using standard fields, as you saw. So if you're going to add members via the Reports tab, you'd start by either selecting an existing report that may be in one of these folders here to the left, or by creating a new report, which is what we're going to do today. We're going to create two new reports. One will be a leads report and one will be a contacts report. Remember, you must do them separately. However, you can build a specialized report that will mix leads and contacts simultaneously. But that would once again require customization, and you'd want to make sure you contact support to make sure you're doing it correctly. So we're going to click New Report, and we're going to select the report type. The first report we're going to create is a contacts report, which is in the Accounts and Contacts folder. When we open that report, we're going to select Contacts and Accounts, and then we'll click Create towards the bottom right. We're going to create a basic report today, but for more detailed reports, feel free to contact our support team. So I'm going to select Filter Add, Show All Accounts, Date Range All Time. Now the results that will appear on your screen will only show up to 50,000 records. We're going to click Run Report, this dark gray tab here, to see the full list, which you must do before being able to add it to the campaign. So now that we've clicked Run Report, we can select Add to Campaign, and then we just need to search for the campaign. Because we marked it as active, we should be able to easily find it. Now you can either type in the name of that campaign in this search field here, or you can select the magnifying glass icon, which will allow you to select from the list of campaigns. Once you select the appropriate campaign, you don't have to bother any of these other statuses. You can simply choose Add to Campaign. You'll get confirmation that new members were added to the campaign, and then you can simply click Done. Now that process may take a little longer if there are lots of contacts that you need to add or that came up as in the report. Now we're going to do the same thing with leads. So we'll click the Reports tab again. We're going to click New Report. This time we're going to search in the Leads folder and select the Leads record or report type. Then we'll select Create. Once again, we're just building a very basic report today. So we're going to choose Filters Add, Show All Leads, Date Range, all time and run a report. Now that we've run the report, we're ready to add the report to the campaign. We just need to find the campaign. If you search from the list, you can hover over each title to see the full title. This is especially helpful if you have campaigns that have similar names, just to make sure you're selecting the right one. Select the name and then click Add to Campaign, and you'll get a confirmation of how many members were added to your campaign, and you can click Done. All right, so now that we've added members to the campaign in several different ways, let's just go back and take a look at what we've done so far. So we're going to click on Campaigns. We're going to head back to the campaign that we've created. And we're just going to take a look at the amount of leads that we've added so far, as well as the amount of contacts. We can even scroll down to see the individual members by name that we have added to this particular campaign. Now, at this point, you can continue to add more members to the campaign using any of the methods that I've discussed, or you can go ahead and start sending messages to the members of the campaign. So we're going to go ahead and send a copy of the demo template. The demo template came along with your installation, so feel free to utilize that for testing, just to make sure you are able to understand how it works. It all starts with clicking the iContact Send button. That's going to initiate the process of beginning to send out a template. Now, once you click iContact Send, it's important to stop for a moment to notice any issues that may be occurring with your browser. If you're using Google Chrome or Firefox, there may be an issue with the browser blocking important content on this page. But it's easy to resolve. You just have to remember to do it. So if you are a Firefox user and you click iContact Send, look in your address bar and see if you see a shield that looks like this. If you do, you'll need to click it, choose Options, and disable protection for now. What that's going to do is let your browser simply stop blocking the content that is being held up on this particular page. If you are a Chrome user, you may see a similar looking shield in the far right corner. If you do, you would need to click that shield and choose Load Unsafe Script, which means the same. You're just telling the browser to unblock the content that is being blocked on this page. Now, unfortunately, you will have to click that each time you come to this page, simply because it's only disabling the protection for this moment. Now, I do caution you to go ahead and make this correction before proceeding, simply because if you don't notice the browser issue until the end of this process, when you resolve the browser issue, the page is going to refresh itself, and all of the settings that you've chosen will be refreshed as well, meaning you'll have to select the folder, the template, and the sending options, and etc. all over again. So to avoid extra steps, simply look at your browser and see if it's blocking content before proceeding. So now that we've resolved that issue, we're going to go ahead and proceed by choosing the folder that the template is in, which is iContact Templates. And of course, if you have existing templates that are in existing folders, you can make your selection from here. The name of the template is iContact Demo Template, so we'll just find it. There it is. And now that we've selected the template, we'll be able to, in just one moment, peek down here and make sure that the template is showing under HTML version. This is the content that was being blocked by the browser. But now that we've resolved the browser issue, it's showing just as it should. This is very important, folks, because if you don't resolve the browser issue, your send will not be successful. So please make sure you take care of that before proceeding. So we can scroll back up here. Now we're ready to go ahead and choose the sending options. If you've created a sending option already, it will be here on the list for you to choose from. If you haven't, you can create one at that time, and then the next time you go to choose the sending option, it will be there on the list as well to choose from. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a sending option that's already been created. And I just want to give a word of caution. When you're creating a new sending option, make sure you use the 2-letter state code as opposed to trying to spell the full name of the state, because it will cause an error in the system. But don't worry, it will correct you and let you know that there is an error and you need to fix it before proceeding. All right, so I've chosen my sending option. Now I can choose to either uncheck this box, which will cause our system to not store email stats from this send, or keep it checked so that we can track those things like opens and clicks on this message. It's default to be checked because we do assume that you want us to store those types of stats for your sends. However, if you're concerned about data storage space, you're more than welcome to uncheck this box as not to add additional storage for your stats for the send. The next thing you're asked to do is certify with the initials of the account that all recipients you're about to send to have granted their permission to be sent this email. The initials of the account can be found just by looking at the name of the account in the upper right-hand corner. If there are numerals in your account name, simply omit those and put the letter initials only. Don't worry though, if you make a mistake, the system will correct you and let you know what needs to be in that field. Next, you'll choose when you want the message to send out. The default is to send immediately, but if you need to schedule it to send later, simply select that radio button, click inside of the field for the calendar to appear, and you can choose the new date for when you want the message to send. Now, when you select a new day, you will have to manually change the time if you want it to send out at a specific time. So for example, if I wanted this to go out tomorrow at 6 a.m., I can choose tomorrow's date, but I'd have to manually enter 6 a.m. The time zone will be in sync with the time zone that was used to create this iContact for Salesforce account. So they do sync up, for those of you who are wondering. Now I'm going to switch back to send immediately so we can go ahead and send this template. Once again, make sure that you see a copy or a preview of the template in this field here. There'll also be a text-only version that our system will go ahead and create. And then we're ready to click send to campaign members. Now, the system does not automatically send by clicking this button. There will be another step here before that process. So once you click send to campaign members, the system is going to take your template through a spam check. There's a series of tools that our deliverability team uses to look at your message and see if there's anything that, for example, violates our company's policies of prohibited content, as well as other things that you might find helpful to change or fix before you send that message out to have the best chance of getting into your recipients' inboxes. Anything with the score of 5.0 or higher means that there's some things you need to change or fix before you send your message. You will get a message here that lets you know what to fix or change. If you ever have trouble understanding, please make sure you contact support because they can easily guide you on what to fix or remove. Also, this is the last screen to truly cancel an immediate send. Now on the next screen, you will see a cancel send button. However, because the process is happening automatically on the back end, you may not be able to click that button fast enough to actually stop that send. And there is no way to retract or recall a sent message. So that is why I caution people that if there's anything you think you might need to fix or change about this template, or maybe add more members or whatever you need to do, this would be the screen to actually cancel. Now, if you're scheduling your message to be sent, you don't have to worry about that because you can always come back and cancel a scheduled message in order to fix anything, or just for the purposes of rescheduling or sending it immediately. Since we're good to go here, we're going to go ahead and click continue. Once we click continue, the process will begin. The first status is scheduled. That means the message is in the queue. It's ready to be sent out. The system will handle everything. You don't have to click refresh. You don't have to click the back button. You simply just need to watch the status go from scheduled to the next phase, which is in progress, to the final stage, which is released. This usually happens pretty quickly. As you see, we've already gone to the in progress stage. Of course, it's going to take a little longer if you've got lots of different members on your campaign that you're sending to. But once again, this should be a pretty swift process. If you see that your message is stuck in any status for a particular length of time, you want to go ahead and contact support, and they can check things out on the back end to see if there were any technical issues that prohibited or kept your send from happening. Other than that, you just want to make sure the status of released shows on your screen before walking away. This is the cancel send button that I was referring to, and although it looks active, if I click it now, it's going to give me an error and let me know that the cancellation is not possible, simply because the messages have already started to send out. So just be aware of that when it comes to ever needing to cancel a send. Also notice that the update statistics button and the targeted send buttons are grayed out. That is because in order to update statistics, the message has to be released. It cannot be released, it cannot be any stats gathered on that message until it's released. And as you see now, it is an active button because the message is now released. The targeted send button relies on statistics. So once we update statistics on this sent message, then we'll be able to use the targeted send button. And as you notice, the cancel send button is now completely grayed out and there's no way to even click it. Now, when it comes to checking the statistics on a sent message, I do encourage you to give it some time. You want to give it time for people to receive the messages in their inboxes, as well as click on any links, open the message itself, and engage however they're going to engage with that sent message. And that may take some time. So, maybe a few hours, even the next day, just to give you a realistic view of the stats or how people are engaging in your sent message. Now, because we've just sent this message out a few moments ago, there are not going to be any statistics to really report. So I'm going to take this time to go to an older message that we've sent out on an older campaign, just for the purposes of showing you what to do from here. So let's say you've walked away, you've logged out, you've come back the next day, and you want to see the stats that are currently reporting on a sent message. You simply go to the Campaigns tab, find the campaign, of course it would be whatever name you gave that campaign, and then find a message for that campaign. So if I were doing today's campaign and the message that we just sent, I would click today's campaign, scroll down, and you'll see all of the sent messages for that campaign, find the name of it and click on it. But since I'm going to an older campaign, I'm going to click Campaigns, and I'm going to find that older campaign. And then I'm going to find the message that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to keep going through the list until I find the one that I want to share with you. And here we go. So although there are very few stats on this message, it's enough for me to at least give you an example. The key here is, this is the same sent message detail page, the last one that you saw when you sent the message. But what you'll need to do in order to see the statistics is click Update Statistics. So unlike the send process, it does not automatically show you the new stats on your sent message. You do have to manually select Update Statistics. So we're going to click this button, and what will happen is the system is going to scroll through and just see any other releases, deliveries, opens, clicks, complaints, unsubscribes, anything that we're collecting. It's going to crawl through and just see if there were any more of those that happened since the last time you updated the statistics. Once that process finishes, these numbers will update if needed. If nothing new has happened, the numbers will stay the same. Now, because I know that because this is a test account, none of these numbers will change, I'm just going to go ahead and proceed with explaining what these different stats are and how you can interpret them. And I'm going to purposely start with the second one here, which is released. This is the number of messages that iContact attempted to send. Now, it doesn't automatically mean that This is how many were delivered into inboxes, and that's where you go back to this number here. If there were some bounces that have occurred, over here to the right, you'll see bounces and unsubscribes. If either of those have occurred, they'll be subtracted from the number released, and that will leave you with the number of deliveries. So deliveries are messages that have successfully reached the recipient's inboxes. We're also showing you unique opens and total opens. Unique opens is going to report the number of recipients that opened your message. Total opens are going to show you the number of times that any recipient has opened your message. So for example, if 5 people open the message one time, that's 5 opens. And then if one more person comes along and opens your message 5 times, that's another 5 opens. So the total opens would then be 10. Likewise, we're showing you unique clicks and total clicks. Unique clicks reports the number of recipients that clicked on a link in your message. Total clicks is going to show the number of times that anyone has clicked on a link in your message. So if 5 people click on one link, that counts as 5 clicks. And if one more person clicks on 5 links, that's 5 more clicks. So the total clicks would be 10. We're also showing you the number of complaints. That is the number of people who reported your message as spam in their email client. And as I mentioned, we're showing you the number of unsubscribes and bounces, as well as subtracting them from the number released. Further down here, you're also able to see the charts, which is just another view of the open rate, the click rate. And you'll also be able to see a couple of other stats showing on these charts. And that information will update as you update the statistics. If you don't see these gauges, once again, make a note to your system administrator. Scrolling further down, you can see the message statistic by recipient. You can see each individual recipient, the opens that are reported for them, as well as clicks, any bounces or unsubscribes that may have occurred as well. If you included links in your message, you'll be able to see a breakdown of those links and members that engaged in those links by clicking on them. Once you start sending out targeted messages, you'll be able to see a collection of those appear in this area. So that leads us to our next option here, which is targeted send. You may choose to do a targeted send to follow up with your members based on how they engaged in a specific message. So for example, if we wanted to send another message to people who opened this message or who clicked on a specific link in this message, we can do that using the targeted send button. Now, I'm going to assume that you have already created that message and you're ready to send it to those individuals. So I'm going to show you what you would do next. Clicking targeted send allows you to choose from 4 different options. The only way you can do a targeted send is if you have statistics on your message. So remember, you have to have stats before you can create a targeted send. The first option is to send only to users who opened this particular message. The next option is to choose to send to users who opened the message but did not click on any links. Then we have who did not open the message and who clicked on links. Now, if you select clicked on links, all of the links that you may have included in the message will appear. If you're interested in only sending the message to people who clicked on a specific link, you check that box, or a set of links, or any link. Once you make your selection, then you will go ahead and click next. Clicking next takes you to that same iContact send screen. This is the screen that I've cautioned you about, that you want to just make sure your browser is not blocking content. You probably will have to do this each time you come to this screen, so just get in the habit of taking a moment to see what's going on with your browser. So we'll click the shield for Firefox users, choose Options, Disable Protection for now, and the page will refresh itself. Chrome users, you'll click the shield in the upper right and choose Load Unsafe Script. We'll choose the folder. Whatever folder that new message that you're sending is in, you'll select that one. Select the name of the template, and just for example's sake, we're just going to choose the same one, although you would probably not be choosing the same message to send to those people in that targeted group. Choose your sending option. Remember, if you're creating a new one, choose the 2-letter state code only. Decide if you want stats stored. Enter the initials of the account. Choose to send now or send later. Let's go ahead and schedule this message for later. Let's schedule this message to go out tomorrow at 6 a.m. Remembering that you need to change the time because the system will not change the time. So this is going to go out at 6 a.m. Eastern time zone because that is my time zone for this account. I'm going to go ahead and click send to campaign members. The template will go through a spam check. If there's anything I need to fix, I'll be alerted of that. If not, I can go ahead and click continue. Now, if you're scheduling your message, it's going to stay in the scheduled status. It's going to stay there until the date and time that you schedule the message to go out. Then it will automatically start the process of sending the message out, and it'll go to the next phase of in progress and the final stage of release. So feel free to walk away at this point. If you scheduled your message, everything should work out just fine. Once again, when you come back to check on the stats of a sent message, simply find the message by name under the campaign and click update statistics. Not only is there a targeted send option at the message level, there's also a targeted send option at the campaign level. So let's look at that one next. So you click on the campaigns tab, find the campaign. Once again, we're going to use our old campaign for this example. And you'll notice that there's also a targeted send button here. This targeted send button not only has the same 4 options that we have at the message level, but you have 2 additional options that do not rely on statistics. So this option allows you to send only to users who were added to this campaign during a specific time frame. Your 3 options are on or before, on or after, or between. Now, depending on which one you select, you'll enter the criteria, and whoever fits that criteria will be put into that segment for your send. A question I get here often is, how do I know who those are? Is there a way to see who's in that targeted send group before I send it? And there's not a real way to see that, other than once you have actually sent the message, you'll be able to then see who the message was sent to on the bottom of that sent message detail screen. And the last option is to choose to send only to users who have not received a message from this campaign at all. Make your selection, click next, and it takes you to the same screen. By this time, you should be familiar with this screen enough to know that you need to look at your address bar, resolve the browser issue before proceeding. We won't continue from here because I do believe everybody understands at this point. So we're going to cancel this targeted send. And before we go to the next step, I just want to show you the built-in reports that came along with the installation. The built-in reports can be found by clicking on the Reports tab. And if you look to the left, you'll see several folders that begin with iContact. You can look at any of these reports. They've been built for you. You can certainly click on any of them. You can customize them, which is why we gave them to you to be able to, use or customize. Just keep in mind that if you customize these reports, you'll want to choose Save As. Choosing Save As allows you to give the report a new unique name, as opposed to clicking Save, which would overwrite the report that came with the installation. So just make sure when you customize, you choose Save As. And our support team would be more than happy and willing to help you with customizing any of these reports. So I just wanted to quickly show you about the built-in reporting. And now we're going to go to creating a message. I'm going to show you how to create a message using iContact's Message Builder tool. Most of you probably have installed the Message Builder tab here. If you don't have this button, it means it hasn't been installed yet. but simply let your system administrator know so they can get that installed. There are easy instructions to go about that process, but iContact for Salesforce support would also be more than willing to walk you through those steps. If you would like, you can also access the Message Builder tool from iContact. If you don't have an iContact account, you can contact support and they can help you, set up maybe even a trial account just for the purpose of using the tool. If you log into a trial account, you can just log in there and click on the email tab, which takes you to the message creation page. This is where you select the Message Builder tool that contains all of the templates. Now, if you already have the tab installed in your browser, you don't have to go through all of that, installed in your tabs here. You can just simply click iContact Message Builder. The very first time you click this tab, you may get the browser issue, which you'll have to resolve. And then you'll get an iContact login screen. Once again, if you need help with the credentials for logging in, contact support. When you click login, it takes you directly to the email page where you can choose to create a new message. So this is simply a portal into iContact for the purposes of using the Message Builder tool, which just is, lots of templates that we pre-designed to make the work a lot easier for you. Now, feel free to use any of these other message creation tools, but most of our customers tend to use the Message Builder tool, and you'll see why. It's because we have lots of templates, several hundred of them to choose from. And they're all categorized by industry, so feel free to browse through them, minimizing those that you would not like to see. And just sort of look at the layout and the structure and see what's most suitable for your needs. If you prefer a design-free layout, you can unselect the category box and choose Basic, and you can choose from these basic templates. So once you've decided what template you want to use, go ahead and select the template and you'll be taken to the editor. This is where you can customize that template, drag and drop your own content, and make it look exactly like you want it to look. Now, for the purposes of this demonstration, I won't be going through all of the different things that you can do to make this message stand out. However, if you'd like to learn more about creating a Message Builder message, you can sign up for the Create and Send Effective Emails webinar that I run weekly. You can also view our video tutorials, as well as read our helpful articles in the help system in iContact. They can guide you through that process, and you can just take your time and work on getting the message to look just right. So for today's demonstration, I just want to point out that it's important to at least give the message a subject or a name. That's if you need to save this message as a draft. That way you can always come back and look under messages in the drafts folder and find a message that you've been working on to continue working. So I'm going to call this message Hawaii Offer and give it today's date. That way, if I need to come back and find it, I'll look for this name under the drafts folder in iContact. Otherwise, once you've finished customizing your message, click Message in the toolbar and perform these checks on your message. These checks are going to help you to catch any errors like spelling mistakes. It's also going to do a spam check on your message to check for the same prohibited content issues or anything else that might be hindering your template from being able to make it into your recipients' inboxes. It allows you to fix those things before you proceed. You also have the option to send a test message to yourself, which is a good idea because it allows you to see how that message will appear in a working email client. And finally, a preview pop-up. Preview pop-up is simply suggested so you can not only check links that you may have included in the template to make sure they're going to the right place, but also for you to look at the responsiveness of the template. All of our templates are responsive, meaning that they will adjust themselves based on the device being used to view it. And you can look at that responsiveness by changing the view here at the top. So if I click Mobile Portrait, this gives me a good idea of what people will see if they look at my message using a mobile device. Portrait, landscape, I can switch to tablet portrait, tablet landscape, and of course, desktop. Now, it does not change the template itself, but it changes the view. So it gives you a good idea of what they might see. So if you need to make any adjustments before sending the message out or before actually saving the code for this message, which is our next step, you could do that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close this view out. Once you're satisfied and you've checked over everything, the last step is to click Source under Advanced. Now I just want to scroll down here and caution you not to click Proceed to Send, because you're not going to be sending this message out using iContact. You're going to be sending it out using your iContact for Salesforce. So you'll click Source under Advanced. The system will generate the HTML code for this message, and your job here is to capture all of the code that's in this field. You can either use your computer keyboard function. For a PC, it's going to be Control-A to capture everything in that field and Control-C to copy it. You can use your mouse of Select All and copy. If you're using a Mac, I believe it's Command, and you'd be able to capture all the information in that field and then to copy it as well. So once you've copied that information onto your computer's keyboard, you're ready to save it into the setup of your iContact for Salesforce account. To find that, just simply scroll back up here to the top, because we've never signed out of this iContact for Salesforce account. We're still logged in. We just need to save this code in the setup of our account. So we'll click on the drop-down menu and choose Setup. Now you may see settings here. It may be to the right as opposed to right up under the drop-down menu, depending on what edition you have. So after clicking Setup, in the left column, you'll go to Email. Then you'll select My Templates. Here you'll choose to create a new template, and you'll choose the option Custom without using letterhead. There are several other options here, but this is the one we need simply because we're bringing in code from an outside source. This would also be the option that you use when you're bringing in code from Dreamweaver or any other third-party software that you're using to create your code. So Custom without using letterhead, and then click Next. Then you'll simply choose the folder that you want this template to be in. Mark it available for use. This is very important. It's going to be important if you plan on having people be able to use this template to send. So don't forget that step. Then give the email template a name. I'm just going to call it Training Message and give it today's date. The system will assign a template unique name, and then you'll simply click Next. It's a couple of other steps before we're finished here. So here's where you need to enter the subject line of the message, as well as paste down the HTML code that we've copied. So when you're creating the subject line, just remember this is what people will see in their inboxes. So make it enticing, but make it be something that stands out so that people will want to open your message. But for today's example, I'm just going to call it Training Subject and give it a date of today. Then I'm going to paste down that code in this field here. And just one more step and you'll be able to finally see the preview of the message. So we'll click Next, and then we'll need to build a text-only version of the email template. Now this is what recipients will receive if they can't view HTML emails. If you leave the text-only version blank, Salesforce.com automatically creates text-only content for you based on the current HTML code. So if you don't leave it blank, it edits the HTML version and it will not be reflected in the text-only version. All right, so just keep that in mind. I'm just going to do the simplest thing, which is to choose Copy Text from HTML version, which does just that. It takes everything that's in my message that's not a picture or a link and places it in this field. Once I've done that, I can go ahead and click Save. And the HTML code is transferred into my iContact for Salesforce account. So as long as you remember the folder that you put it in and the name that you gave it. And since you marked it available for use, you can now start sending this template to members of any of your campaigns. All right, so that is how to use the Message Builder tool to create a message and store it in your iContact for Salesforce account. Now, you're more than welcome to use any of the other options that I've shown you for creating a message. If you have an existing template in an existing folder, for example, you can certainly use those as well. Remember that our wonderful support team is always ready and willing to assist you, and they can be reached via email at salesforce@icontact.com. You can dial them at 866-331-3208, and their hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you again, everyone, for choosing iContact for Salesforce, and please do enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.